Hey guys, Exotic Car DIY again. I've had a lot of requests lately from people just wanting to have a better, I guess, understanding of their car. And I don't know about you, but ever since I got my first car, it was a 1997 Camaro, I basically wanted to know what everything was. And so you pop the hood and you just start staring around and looking and trying to figure out, well, what is this? What does this do? Can I do this myself? And so today I'm just going to do kind of a walk around and put this car in the lift so we can see what's what. Some of this is obviously extremely basic and other stuff is more advanced, but it's just going to be let's look at stuff and see how stuff works. I've never actually seen anybody do a video of what these cars look like below or explaining what's in the engine. So that's my goal. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start by popping the hood. So one cool thing about these, they're actually very worker friendly. So you notice the hood goes up to about that position on its own, but they actually have a service hood. You simply push and these hoods will go 90 degrees, which makes it very easy to get in here. So this car is equipped with the M157 and very similar to the M278, just a little bit more displacement. So I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, I like old cars because you can work on them. And they see all these components in here and plastic covers and they think you can't touch them, but it's still all just components and bolts, and it's all, you can figure it all out. I guess we'll kind of go in order. If anybody wants to know where their battery is, it's just behind this little thing. There's a clip here, a clip here. That's easiest if you just pop it up with your finger, and another clip over here that removes this air box, and there your battery is underneath. This is the main battery. These cars are equipped with two. It's actually a H7 is a perfect replacement. This is a Walmart AGM. They had a better warranty than any of the other ones, and I've never really had a problem with any of these batteries. So we'll put that back on later. In here you have, if you ever want to hook up a charger, there's a good negative post terminal here. Behind this cap is a good place. This is where I put my trickle charger or any other kind of chargers. Next we'll come over here. Obviously you got your coolant reservoir. This is the relay for your heat exchanger pump. And there's actually a mod that you can look up on the forums where people short this to ground. That leaves the pump on all the time. And so I guess we'll start up here on top. If you're ever wondering how to pop off the engine covers, I kind of covered it in my video where I showed you how to do the filters. They literally just pop off. It's clips. Just be gentle, but you know, understand that they're there. So starting here on the left side, these are your camshaft, I believe they're like magnetic sensors. On top is your actual camshaft position sensors. There should be two. I know in the older cars these had issues. They're not an issue on the new ones. Underneath your air box you have your fuel rail and your spark plug coils. So if you ever want to do your spark plugs yourself, you totally can. You just pop off the air box and you'll see all the coils done. Eventually, this car only has 11,000 miles on it, so I don't really need spark plugs. Maybe I'll make a video to show you how to do it, even though I don't really need to do it, I guess. If we come over to the middle, again, pop up here. I had to go to the corners, pop them off, and then you can just kind of let it clip off. All right, so here we got our ECU. This is your heat exchanger reservoir. And then you can actually kind of see how some of this functions. So air goes in here through the filter, comes back around down these pipes. These pipes lead to the turbochargers. The turbochargers exit, come back up these pipes and into the engine here, and that is where the heat exchanger is. So you can see the left and right both meet in the same spot. Up top we got just an idle pulley. Just to continue on the back of the engine, I believe over here it's a vacuum pump right there. This is where you check your oil level. Over here, obviously just brake stuff, AC lines. You do have a fuse box here, and over here I think this is a fuel vapor canister purge valve. You got your ABS thing here, and so it kind of covers it from what's up top up here. Oh, I guess a couple people wanted me to make a video about an oil change, and I will get to the oil change video here shortly. But to do an oil change on these is very simple. You don't suck it out from the top like a lot of Mercedes. It does come out from the bottom, but on top you do have your oil filter cartridge right here, and it's basically just spin it off, take out the old filter, put the new filter in, tighten it back down. The kits usually come with an O-ring. Just a quick, these are the oil cooler lines that lead to an oil cooler. Obviously you got radiator, condenser, and a couple other coolers up front. Over here is your main heat exchanger radiator, and you can track the tube lines from this pump as they go down. You can actually see it over there if you look in your own car with a flashlight. Another thing I was always curious about is how do they fit turbos up front in here? You can see right underneath that pipe with the green sticker, that is the wastegate actuator for the turbo, and below it is the actual turbo. You can see the compressor and the little orange paint is on the exhaust side, and there's so basically the exhaust comes out of the motor, goes through a pipe into the compressor, and then goes through what's called a bridge pipe to go back out. It's really crammed in there. That's why most people don't ever change the bridge pipes. This side maybe you can see it a little bit better. So the turbo is down there. You got the bridge pipe and the, I don't even think you can see the manifold in this, just the bridge pipe. So they're pretty much crammed in there pretty good. And yeah, to change them, I'm pretty sure you probably have to take the motor out. I'm not sure. I don't have any plans to change it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this car up on the lift, and we'll take a look at all the components underneath. All right, now we got the car up on the lift. As you can see, the jacking points are pretty easy on these. There's just actually rubber pads here to put it up in the air. The whole front of the motor, and we'll look at all this here shortly, is covered in plastics. And so to access anything, you just got to remove the plastics. Every single one of them is held on just by an 8mm screw, and so you can zip them off pretty quick, and that's what we'll start now. The splash shielding is now removed so we can see all the components, and I realize I'm holding a cell phone and trying to talk and look, and I'm going to try to make this not as shaky, but again, just kind of point to where some things are to give you just a basic general idea of where things are so it doesn't look so intimidating. From the top, you remember we talked about the oil cooler lines. They come down here, come over here, and here's your oil cooler. It's about, I don't know, 4 inches tall and 2 feet wide. Over here, this is your auxiliary radiator. It has just some coolant pipes to it that go into the main coolant lines. Like we said, this is your heat exchanger radiator, and its lines come down through here as well. So now we'll kind of start at the front of the motor. AC compressor. You got an idler pulley. Actually, that's probably the tensioner, I'm sorry. Crank pulley. Over here, tucked away, I don't know if I can even get a good shot of it, you can see your alternators over there. So that does look like that's going to be a pain to change, but yeah, it's behind these pipes. I'm sure to replace it, you're going to have to like remove the pipes. It might be kind of a job. Up here on the motor, right there, up there is the water pump. If you ever see a motor out of these, it doesn't look as bad, but it's kind of above the crank pulley to the left. Coming back down here, we have the electric power steering, and of course the steering rack attached to it. Here is the main part of your oil pan. This is just your oil level sensor. This is the drain plug. So to remove these, like I said, you don't suck it out the top like most Mercedes, you do drain it out the bottom. So it's gonna all drain from this drain plug. You can see where the steering shaft goes into the box. There it is up there. So from this angle, you can see a couple things. And like I said, they do cram a lot into these. The blue part is the heat shield for the motor mount. There's one on either side. The black thing you see right there with the numbers on it, that's your starter. So I imagine that's going to be kind of a difficult job to do. O2 sensors right on top of the catalytic converter. Also on the other side, O2 sensor for the catalytic converter. You kind of see the tip of it over there. They look doable from down. We're at kind of at the transmission now. This is an auxiliary transmission pump because these have the start-stop feature. It is a pump that keeps the fluid circulating and pressure while the motor is off or transmission's not turning. And obviously you got the transmission pan. Let's see if we can cover anything else up here. Up here you can see where the front drive shaft comes into the front differential. There's actually a U-joint there. I do not believe it's serviceable, but I don't know. Hopefully they don't wear out. If they do, I guess you gotta like look at either replacing the whole drive shaft or maybe there's some way to press that out. Obviously the axle shafts where they come into the front drive shaft. The front drive shaft, or the whole axle shaft, actually goes through the oil pan and comes out the other side. While we're in the wheels, you can obviously see the shocks. These are the level sensors right here. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we kind of missed up here. All right, as we go towards the back, I was really curious how the four-wheel drive works in this because I'm used to things like the Blazer have a giant transfer case. And so on the back of these transmissions, there is a miniature transfer case. That's where the output shaft is to the rear drive shaft. Right here, there's a gearing. These have a fixed gearing of 67% to the rear, 33% to the back. You can see that that's where the drive shaft comes out. Nice and tucked all the way down until it comes to where we showed it in the front. So it's pretty clever how they got it in there and to fit so nicely. I mean, I wouldn't even think there's enough room for a drive shaft in there. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see the whole exhaust system. Back here we have a resonator. On these, the AMGs, a lot of people are like, oh, their baffles and the mufflers. And I put a borescope camera down there, one of those cheap ones from Amazon. They're all straight through design. So swapping out exhaust, other than maybe removing the catalytic converters, won't benefit you at all because the exhaust simply just goes straight through both these and the mufflers. All right, now we're at the back. It's where the rear drive shaft attaches to the differential. It's a differential cooler. And then the axle shaft's out the side. And as I showed in one of my videos, that's where your lowering links are going to go in the back. There's one on either side, since these have airbag systems for the rear. And then as we get further back, there's not a whole lot to show back here. Here's your sensor for opening up the trunk with your foot. And obviously the mufflers, like I said, they're a straight through design. This pipe simply comes in, goes through a perforated pipe, and then Y's out to the two tips. There's no baffles, there's no restrictions whatsoever. So right now that's what it is. If you guys want me to make any other videos just to explain any other features, I'm happy to do so. The lift makes it really easy. If you guys want to see any other cars like the Ferrari or this awesome Saab on the lift, I can make videos for those too, and just kind of show you the features, because for me it's just a curiosity thing. I love seeing how things work, and so being able to get this on the lift and kind of just poking around and seeing where everything is, just it makes me feel a little more comfortable, and I really love that stuff.